Hello, Vandy fans. This is Don Yates with VandyMania.com. We have someone here today that's very important in Vanderbilt history, and if you've gone to Vanderbilt Stadium lately, he's one of the reasons why that stadium is there. A lot of you might complain about that stadium, but if you could see the stadium before the one we have now, you would appreciate this man very much. This is George Bennett. George Bennett was the head of the National Commodore Club in 1979, from 1979 to 1986, and he's just going to talk about some of his experiences in fundraising and Vanderbilt sports in general while he was at Vanderbilt. George, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Getting along fine. A few little bumps, but me and the Lord can handle them all, so you know.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah. I'm glad you all are here. We're excited about having Vanderbilt here and seeing people that I knew and while I was in Nashville and all that, and especially welcoming Tim Corbin back.
And you got Robbie Caldwell here too.
And we got Robbie Caldwell here. And Bobby Johnson's not too far from us.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of Vandy connections around here.
Does Bobby come up here a lot?
He does. He comes up here a good bit. In fact, he's probably helping with that football camp over there right now.
Oh yeah.
And I know he did for the last couple of years. So he may be, I'm not sure he's here, but it stands to reason he could be here.
George, you already told me a lot of the stuff, but can you just share with Vandy fans about how you ended up at Vanderbilt?
Yeah. Well, back in 1979, Roy Kramer had only been there about 6 months. And then he hired George McIntyre in December of '78. And George recommended to Roy that he come over here and see what we were doing in fundraising. And Roy called me up and said that I'd like to come by and talk to you. And he came over here in February of '79, and he and I sat in our office right upstairs here. And for a couple hours we talked about what we do fundraising wise. And he thanked me, and I thanked him. Nice meeting him, and he went on his way. And then about maybe a month and a half later, he called and asked our athletic director for permission to talk to me to see if I'd be interested in coming to Vanderbilt. And I really wasn't interested because I knew he was. I'd heard about all the facilities and stuff like that. But anyway. We had a Clemson club meeting in Knoxville in April, and my wife was with me, and I called Roy and I said, listen, if you got time, we'll just drive over to Nashville today and see you at about noontime on Friday. And we got there about 1 o'clock, and we sat in Roy's office and started talking about everything. Before we knew it, we'd been there about 5 hours, just sitting there, the two of us talking. And then we went out to dinner that night, joined by George and Betty McIntyre. And then the next morning, I met with Roy again, and he took me over and showed me the stadium. And I said, "This has got to be the worst stadium I have ever seen." There were holes in the playing field. The turf was in bad shape. And he said, "Well, this is why I need somebody to come over and help raise money, try to improve our facilities." And then he took me in the gym, Memorial Gym, and of course, Memorial Gym, a gym. I mean, it's not a coliseum or anything like that. It's a perfect place to play basketball. So I was kind of impressed with that. But anyway, we started talking, and he started telling me what he could offer me to come over there, And I was in my dream job here at Clemson. I had no idea about ever leaving here, because I had the job that everybody else wanted. But anyway, just one thing worked out another, and we came June the 1st of 1979. And to be honest about it, that's probably one of the best moves I ever made. I mean, it was just an eye-opening experience to get to Nashville and to see the things that are available there and the opportunities that we had. So it was really a good move for us to be there.
And can you just talk about how you were able to raise funds for the Vanderbilt? I think the Vandy Stadium cost $11 million to build.
Something like that, yeah. Well, of course, we did it with bonds, but then we raised a lot of money from individuals, and we put in the National Commodore Club. They didn't have a seat, preference thing and so those kind of things, and so we put all that into effect. We did what we call the deck and the bridge, and we set up different levels of the Commodore Club from an admiral down to an ensign and all that, and we set up level, and you get so many tickets and this kind of thing. And to be real honest about it, basketball tickets helped us more than anything. And then we had the 12 suites that we have up in the football stadium, and we sold those at a not nominal rate. It was a pretty good rate, and we had a lot of success with that. And we won one football game the first year I was there. We won 2 the second year. We won 4 the next year, and then we won 8 and went to a bowl. So we had some progression in there, and things kind of, took off, and we hired C.M. Newton to come in for our basketball coach, and that was a big boost to us. So, and Roy was doing a great job leading that program. So we had a lot of fun, had a lot of people to help us. I mean, just an untold number of individuals that helped us, get the program off the ground.
What do you think is the most important thing a university can do when they're trying to raise money for athletics?
Make personal contact. First of all, people give money for 2 reasons, or maybe 3 reasons. They give out of need. I need the money for this program. And then after you have some success on it, I think there's a certain amount of pride. Hey, look what I'm doing. Look what's happening in my money. And then third, and maybe the most important thing, is the person that you're giving the money to, that you can know that they're going to spend the money the way it is. And I thought we had all those ingredients because Roy Kramer had a great deal of prestige in the athletic business. He was a big hit in Nashville, and we were doing things the right way.
So number 3, you say, if you say you're going to use the money for a stadium, you should use the money for a stadium.
That's exactly right.
Because what happens if you don't do that?
Well, you lose confidence. That's the biggest thing, And we also tried to be as personal as we could with people, and we made sure that their gifts were acknowledged right away. Now we had a lot of people upset because we were asking them if they had two basketball season tickets, to give us at least $100 for joining the Commodore Club. And we told people, listen, we need money. We got the worst weight room in college athletics. We've got high schools that have better weight rooms than what we've got here. And we need the money to improve our facilities. We were just not taking care of our business for our athletes. So we sold people on that and trying to get them to do the things that we really needed at Vanderbilt. And people really bought into it because I think they had confidence knowing that Roy Kramer was going to spend the money the way they intended it to be spent.
Yeah, you told me stories about holding crying widows' hands.
Yeah, they called me a blackmailer and an extortionist and all that. And man, I'd get in my car and I'd go see them, and I'd sit down and hold their hands, sing a hymn together, with them and stuff like that.
Meeting people at 7 in the morning and opening their car door for them when they showed up.
I met people at 7 o'clock in the morning. Somebody would call up and they'd be irate about something. And I said, I'd say, what time you go to work? Well, I get there at 7 o'clock. I said, okay, I'm going to be there meeting you. And I'd do that and get in there and talk to them and try to convince them, listen, we're not trying. We're just trying to have a good program. And unfortunately, it takes money to have a good program. And I remember people that I don't think I'm the best salesman in the world by any way, but I can convince people, and I had a good success in that. And I know people who just say, I am not going to do this. I am not going to do this against my principle. And by going to see them, sitting down, talking with them, telling them what we wanted to do, we had a lot of success in getting what we wanted to do.
Now, Vanderbilt currently is looking at either building a new stadium or renovating the stadium they have. What words of wisdom could you offer in that pursuit?
I don't know what you think. They've got a perfect location. The seating capacity is 40,000. You're in a lot of competition with professional athletics in Nashville now. And if it's anything that needs improvement, I just improve that stadium and keep it right there on campus. Students can walk to the game. It's in a great location now on West End. And I mean, I don't know all the mechanics or things like that that's going on at Vanderbilt or Nashville for that, but I know that's in a perfect location because it's on a college campus. That's like here at Clemson. Our stadium is right here on our campus. We don't drive somewhere to go downtown or do that and kind of thing. So, like I said, I don't know everything, but I do everything in my power to keep that stadium right where it is.
I agree. How about fundraising? Like fundraising for a stadium, or renovations? Is there anything you can?
People like to give to capital funds. I mean, they enjoy when you have money for capital funds because then they can immediately see where their money is going to, you know. And of course, naming opportunities and all like that and important. But at Vanderbilt, I mean, that stadium is Vanderbilt Stadium, and but from where it came from in 1979, from where it is now, people, they can't appreciate that. I mean, it'd be great. Listen, I wish we'd had all the technology we had then as we'd have now. I mean, we literally jacked up that stadium on hydraulic jacks to come back in there and build the stadium down to the field. So it was an engineering marvel. In fact, I had Coach Biggerstead to put stands out in front of McGugin so people could sit out there and watch that stadium being lifted up. I mean, that steel stadium was actually lifted up about 12 feet into the air.
Yeah, I came down there when I was about 16, 17 years old to the ticket office to buy a football media guide or something, and we drove up there and it was just looked like almost like a war. It was like it had been bombed out. It
sounded like a war because each one of those jacks, you know, were boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was just amazing. And they lifted one side, and I forgot what it was. It seemed like it was 18 hours. But they put a jack on every support there, you know, and that thing is. I'm a good sound effects man.
Yeah, I think one of them stands was added in like 1948 or something, and the other one was added in like the 60s. So people say Vanderbilt Stadium was built in 1920. It wasn't, because the oldest part of that stadium is like 1948, but. It's just the metal frame for the seats that are in the upper area that people like to stomp on. But.
Well, I had people telling me when they went to their first game in Vanderbilt Stadium in 1920, holding their mother's hand or something like that going in there, you know. And I didn't doubt that because it was probably true. I mean, but I had a lot of people tell me, I went into this stadium back in 1920 something, you know. Of course, at that time, Coach Neely was playing.
And you knew Coach Neely, didn't you?
I knew Coach Neely. He was a great guy.
Can you just talk a little bit about Jess Neely, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yep. Well, of course, Jess Neely played at Vanderbilt, and then when he graduated, he started his college football career, and we were lucky enough to have him here at Clemson. And he coached here at Clemson, and he is actually responsible for athletic fundraising. We had played, Clemson had played Wofford over in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and Wofford had beaten Clemson. And while sitting in a car after that game, he said to a couple guys, if I had a little bit of scholarship help, I think I could have a little bit of a good program. Well, the idea of IPTAY came out of that. IPTAY in 1934 meant I pay 10 a year. And Coach Neely was the instigator behind that? Well, he had an undefeated season in 1939. He beat Boston College in the Cotton Bowl 6-3. And immediately after that, he was hired at Rice to come there and be their football coach and athletic director. And he stayed down there until somewhere in the mid-60s, and then came back to Vanderbilt as the athletic director and built McGugin Athletic Center. This building you're sitting in right now was caused by Coach Neely building that facility at Vanderbilt.
So a lot of connections between Clemson. We got Bobby Johnson, Robbie Caldwell, George Bennett, Jess Neely, all with connections with Vanderbilt.
Josh Cody. Josh Cody.
Josh Cody.
Yeah.
There's some great Vanderbilt football players from way back in the day. But George, it's been an honor to talk to you, and we're so thankful. I'm sure the Vanderbilt fans are, especially the ones that are my age, in their 50s, 40s, and 50s, are very thankful for what you did getting that new stadium built. It was just a night and day difference. I remember the rivers of urine running down under the stands because there was no bathrooms for people to use. But we are just so appreciative of you, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. I hope y'all have a great stay. But go Tigers.
For VandyMania.com, this is Don Yates.
Thank you. That was good.